Welcome everyone to our Moving with MS virtual support group. We are going to be talking today about some of my favorite helpful tools and products to help with multiple sclerosis symptoms and or things that MS makes challenging, like walking and movement. And I'm really excited because we're going to do a bit of a demonstration. So I do have a presentation that I'm going to show you just because I don't actually have all of the tools with me today, but I do have a decent amount. So with the ones that I do have, I'll be demonstrating for you. This is our Moving with MS virtual support group that I host along with MSDs and News, and our amazing supporter is Viatra. So a big thank you and shout out to them. Okay, so we're talking about assistive devices and helpful tools. I like to consider assistive devices, aka mobility aids, helpful tools because ultimately they are a tool that can help us move around easier. So what we're going to be talking about today and reviewing are a few examples of mobility aids, but also some tools that you can use out and about in your daily life. So these categories cover the main areas that we'll be covering. So cooling devices, mobility aids, tools for foot drop, tools for sensation, and tools for weakness. Okay. And then we're going to be discussing when to use some of these tools, because if you are going to be struggling with any symptom from multiple sclerosis, it's important to have a tool that you can use as a backup. I think it's really important to work on exercises that can help with that symptom and have a tool that can be helpful. Because if we're focusing on just one or the other, you could be really missing out. If you are only focusing on exercises that can strengthen your, as we know, strengthening takes a long time to kick in. And so it might take weeks, if not months, if not a year, before you actually have full strength to utilize that muscle or do that action or activity. But if you only use tools to compensate for the weakness that you have, then it can cause you to not gain strength because you're always just compensating with a tool. So your muscles actually get weaker. But if you're doing both, if you have exercises that we've talked about before in our functional exercise webinars, you can strengthen the muscles. And if you have tools that we'll talk about today to help out, it's the best of both worlds. You can get stronger while also being able to do the things that you need to do. So when to consider using an assistive device or any of these tools that we'll talk about today would be if you are a wall walker or a furniture walker, meaning your balance isn't great, so you feel like you have to constantly touch a wall or touch furniture or touch a human being to stay balanced. If you're feeling unsteady when you're walking, if you are having increased frequency of drop foot or scuffing your toes or catching your foot on the floor, if you have falls, and I always like to say controlled or not. So often people think that a fall is just a heavy thing where you fell to the ground. But a fall is considered anytime you ended up on the floor when you didn't mean to, even if it was controlled. So if you are having those types of falls too, that might be a good sign to use some of these tools and aids. If you've almost falls where you were about to trip, but you didn't. You caught yourself on a piece of furniture or on a person, or you just stepped and you were able to catch yourself by stepping. If you almost fell but didn't, that is a sign that you might want to use some of these tools and aids. And if any of your symptoms are worsening temporarily or permanently, those are all signs that you might want to use some of these tools that we'll talk about today. Okay, so cooling devices. I'm going to show some pictures on the next slide. I'm a very visual learner, so I like to always demonstrate when possible. So the Ember Wave is a watch, and I like to think of the Ember Wave as something that can keep you cold. The Hypercool cooling products that they have will keep you colder, and then the coldest is Thermapparel, in my opinion. That's how I would rate these three things. So if we go to the first one, that is Ember Lab. So as you can see in this photo, I am wearing a watch, and the watch is something that can be cool or hot. So it actually can help with cold intolerance as well. But on the underside of this watch, there is a plate, and when you press a button, it gets cold. And I would relate it to if you had an ice cube and you were putting an ice cube on your wrist. And placing an ice cube in this area can actually cool a big part of your body because of just this specific location. Another good area is your neck and also lymph nodes near your armpit. But in the case of this watch, placing an ice cube here is what that watch feels like when you're on the cooling setting. If you're on the warming setting, then it would kind of feel like if you had a hot cup of coffee and you put the coffee next to you. Neither is going to be so intense that you're going to get a burn from it, or whether it be a cold burn or a hot burn, but it's just a nice sensation of cooling or heating. As you can see, this just looks like a watch. And so this is a really great option to keep you cool or warm if you're looking for something discreet. But again, it's not the most cooling or the most heating. So it's good if you are someone who doesn't need a whole lot. You just need a little something to help keep you cooler or warmer. So next, to keep you cooler, is the Hyper Cool. And you'll see in this photo here, I'm wearing cooling wristbands from Hyper Cool, and this is the cooling vest from Hyper Cool. And one thing about this, this product, everything that Hyper Cool offers, is that you put them underwater and then you rinse them out. And then once you rinse them out, you put it on, whether it's the wrist strap or the vest. And it's a really great option for people who need a bit more than just the watch, but it's not heavy at all. They are super lightweight, but they do show. And so as you can see, you would be able to tell if I was wearing this because I'm wearing it over my shirt or on my wrist. I really like the wristbands for someone who needs just a little bit of cooling, but not so much that you need a vest. Again, they're both really lightweight. The only thing I would say about these vests and products is that you do need someone, whether that's you or someone else, with a decent amount of hand control to rinse out the product, because if it's too wet, then it can get your clothing wet. But surprisingly, if you do rinse it out enough, it won't get your clothes wet. And the way that it works is as soon as your body's producing heat, it will use evaporation to help keep you cool. So I really, really like the Hyper Cool products. Are any tools that can be used to help navigate the stairs? We'll get to, there's a few that might help. We'll get to those. Okay, and then the coldest is the Thermoperil, and I actually have the Thermoperil here, but I thought I would link this video to show you as well. So this is a video just on my Instagram page where I'm demonstrating what the Thermoperil vest looks like, and those are the cooling packs that go in. They slide in the back, and there's 4 of them all across the back, and then you just put it on, and there's Velcro, so you strap it around. The straps up top are very adjustable, so you can make them tighter or looser depending on your fit and your body and what you need. Everyone has a different torso length. And the thing that I really like about this is that it goes under your shirt, so no one knows you're wearing it. So this is the Thermoperil. This is obviously it's in the box, but this is the Thermoperil cooling vest. And I want to show you what it looks like and what it comes with. So this is going to be a really great option for cooling. So if you are someone who gets really hot when exercising, this would be a really great product to wear. It doesn't have to just be worn when it's hot outside. Of course it can be, but it doesn't need to be. So you'll see it says Thermoperil on the back. And one thing I like about this is it's really lightweight. I don't know if you can tell just from watching, but it's really lightweight, which is awesome. And then you'll see in the back here, these are the 4 slots for the ice packs, and it's not actual ice. I'm forgetting what the actual material is. It's like a biophase freeze or something like that. But there's these slits and they just slide right into there. I'll take one of them out. These are not frozen right now because I didn't have it in my freezer, but it's these 3 little packs, and it says right on here how to freeze. 30 minutes in ice water, 45 minutes in the freezer. It'll freeze with 60 minutes in the fridge, or 8 to 12 hours in a room under 70 degrees Fahrenheit. So there's those directions for you right there, if you can see them. So there's 4 of these that slide along the back. I'll put this one back in. And when they're frozen, they slide in extra easy, but they're pretty easy to slide in. And it's in like that. So once you have them in, all you're gonna do is put it on. And you're going to pull it around. And they actually have a sizing guide so that you can get the right size for you. So once you have that on, I'm putting this on over my shirt, but normally you could put this on your actual skin or on a tank top, and then your shirt would go over it, which I really like, because the biggest thing I think about this is it does keep you cool. The cooling packs are right on your back from about here to here, all the way over to your sides, but it's discreet. No one would know that you're wearing this if you have your shirt on over it. So it's really thin. As you can see, there's some clips up here. That's where you can make it either tighter or looser. You could have them the same on each side, different on each side. You put your shirt on and you're ready to go. In my experience, these stay cool for, if you're not exercising or doing much, you're just keeping it on as you're moving around. I have noticed that these have stayed cool for about an hour and a half or so. They say that if you are exercising or just moving around, and so you're producing more heat, your body's a little bit hotter, then it might only last about 45 minutes to an hour, give or take. But I've noticed that they do last about the hour and a half, sometimes even 2 hours. And I will say, these aren't even frozen right now, and just touching my back, they feel cool, which is nice. So this is the Thermoperil cooling vest. I have heard through the grapevine that they are also coming out with some other products, which I'm assuming I'm going to be a huge fan of, because this is my favorite cooling vest that exists right now. So Thermoperil cooling vest, great for cooling. Let me get that off. All right, so next up is lots of different types of mobility aids, but specifically stimulation, electrical stimulation. So I don't know about you guys, but there's so much discussion that I am seeing inside the Missing Link, as well as just on my social media. Constant questions are coming in about electrical stimulation to help with walking and strengthening. So the first 2 that I want to touch on are Bioness and Walk Aid. So this one right here is the Bioness, and this one right here is the Walk Aid. These are mobility aids that stimulate the peroneal nerves, which are the nerves on the outside of your calf. And those are the nerves that can help keep your ankle upright. And when it keeps your ankle upright, it reduces drop foot. So the main reason for these 2 aids is to reduce drop foot. The Bioness does have one where it also has a band like this on your lower thigh up here. So it can also help with bending your knee. So not just the ankle, but also the knee. One thing to know about these specific stimulation aids is that you do have to have some strength. In my experience with the patients that I've worked with who have 0 ankle strength, such as if I were to ask them to lift their ankle and even a little bit, it doesn't lift at all. So in those specific people, when we tried to stimulate the nerves using electrical stimulation, it either didn't work at all, or it worked so minimally that they didn't actually reap the benefits from using an electrical stimulation device. So if you are able to lift your ankle even just a little bit, these are more likely to work for you. And again, it's mostly to help with drop foot, so lifting your ankle when you're walking. So another option, and if anyone tuning in live has tried any of these, feel free to let me know and I can share with everyone else, is the Newbie. The Newbie is a newer device, and as you can see, it looks like your classic electrical stimulation where it's hooked up to a machine. and there's these cords that hook up to the pads, the electrodes rather, and you can set specifics on the device here that can allow your muscles to activate. The newbie is more so used for strengthening during an exercise routine rather than the Bioness and Walk Aid are meant to be used throughout your day. They both do have a button on there that is exercise mode, so you can exercise with it on, but they're more so used to put on and use just as you're walking throughout the day. Whereas the newbie is more so meant to be used during your exercises that you're doing for that day. As you can see, it's connected to this device, so you wouldn't necessarily put it on and then walk around your home moving this device with you. It doesn't work that way. So it's more so used for strengthening, and it is a different type of current. Without getting too much into the science behind it, this is direct current, whereas these devices are alternating current. All you need to know about that is it stimulates the muscles in a different way. Okay, so next is the Cyonic Neural Sleeve, and this was really exciting for me to be able to try on because it's something that I think is really up and coming, and I love the variability in it. So before I show you these two videos, I just want to show you this picture here. So I'm mid-conversation, so it's not the best picture. But the Cyonic Neural Sleeve is a form of electrical stimulation where there are 4 sets of electrodes, 1 set on the front of your thigh, 1 on the back of your thigh. So those 2 will help you straighten your knee and bend your knee. And then you have some on the front side of your lower leg and the back of your lower leg, which will help you lift your ankle and then lower your toes to lift your heel. So you can turn on all of those if you want, or you can turn on just the front ankle ones, or just the ones on the back of your thigh. You can turn on whichever ones you need, which is really great because as MS progresses, if you feel like you didn't used to have weakness on the back of your thigh, but now you do, you can now turn those ones on, whereas you might not have used them before. So it's a device that I think can grow with you if your symptoms do start to change. The other thing I was going to say, what else was I going to say about this? Oh, you can exercise with it on, or just use it throughout your day-to-day life. And one thing that's really unique about the Cyonic Neural Sleeve is that it can help in multiple situations. So with the Bioness and Walk Aid, it really just helps for regular walking. But if you're climbing stairs or stepping up on a curb or climbing a hill or something like that, a ramp, it oftentimes won't activate in the right way, but this Cyonic Neural Sleeve can sense where you are and adapt accordingly, which I think is really cool. Okay, so I want to show you, this is me doing some exercises with it on, and so I'm just working with someone from Cyonic, and they're showing me their app. So it comes with an app, and you can press go, like press play on a specific exercise. And then, so in this example, he pressed play on the bending your knee exercise. And so I would feel those muscles activate. I could feel the stimulation on them as I was bending my knee. So I was actively bending my knee at the same time that the Cyonic Neural Sleeve was activating my hamstring. So it's kind of a double whammy. And then this one is me actually walking with it. I'm walking gingerly at first because it was my first time trying it out. But once I get the hang of it, you'll see what it actually looks like. And I had the ankle electrodes on and the bending of the knee electrodes on. I'll play that one more time. So that is the Cyonic Neural Sleeve. Hold on, let me get this back to being bigger. There we go. Okay, so next up is the A-Linker. I actually do have one of these, but my office is too small for me to bring it up here. So the A-Linker is a mobility tricycle. As you can see, there's 2 wheels up front, 1 wheel in the back. My favorite thing about the A-linker is that you're up tall. As you can maybe see here, my knees are not bent that much, meaning I am basically my same height when I'm sitting on the A-linker as I am when I'm standing up. And I love that because so often, if you're unable to walk well and a rollator isn't appropriate for you because it's too challenging, so your only other option is to sit down in a wheelchair, it really lowers you. So this offers a seated mobility option that keeps your height, which is really nice. The one thing I would say about the A-linker is that you do need the ability to bend and straighten your knee, not 100%, but you do need to be able to bend and straighten your knee because that's how you get it to move, is you straighten one knee, bend your knee, straighten and bend. And it's this alternating straightening and bending. If you do have the ability to straighten and bend your knee on one side, then you could, what I've seen people do is, let's say this leg was weaker, I could actually rest this foot up on this part of the yellow, landing next to the wheel, and then this leg just does all the work. I wouldn't suggest that. I would always suggest that you try both sides, and you could even use it as a strengthening exercise, but that is an option that a decent amount of people have done when one leg is weaker. So that is the A-linker. I see Anne says, unfortunately, the Sionic sleeve isn't available for shorter people. Yeah, I will say, I actually just spoke to Jeremiah. I interviewed him for the Missing Link podcast, and they are coming out with different sizes, but as you can imagine, coming out in the different size, getting it approved and distributing it is a huge feat. So I don't know when it will actually be released, but they are currently working on getting it in different sizes, specifically for shorter people and for people with larger thighs and smaller thighs, both. Okay, so the next up, and I have these here, so I'm going to demonstrate all of these, the bi-acre, the Neo Walk, and the rolls. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Okay, so the first mobility aid I want to show you for walking is going to be the bi-acre, and I actually have 3 of them in my office here. There's lots of different ones. I'm just going to show you one of my favorite ones, and it's actually their newest one. So let me grab that. Okay, so this is one of the bi-acres. Bi-acre is a company that creates lightweight walkers, which I love because these walkers, they close up really slim, so they're really great for storage and they're really easy to pick up and put into a car. It's a little bit challenging to bring upstairs, but they're pretty easy to pick up and move up onto a curb, but they're really lightweight, which I think is awesome. This one in particular has this material on the outside that is scratch proof, which is nice. So if you tend to run into things or like cut corners too close, this might be a good option for you. But the main reason I like them is because they're lightweight, but also they're really pretty. So many times that people think of walkers, they think of silver walkers, gray walkers that are in hospitals and nursing homes, but all of bi-acre's walkers are very pretty. They are things that you would actually want to use out in the community and in your day-to-day life. So this is one of the bi-acres. I also really like the tires. Their tires are really durable. They have one called the Overland that is meant to be used outdoors. So if you're on cobblestone or sand or grass, it's actual tires, not just rubber tires. So that's another really cool feature. I really like the shape of the bi-acre. It allows you to be able to stand close and up nice and tall without it being too far away from you. And as you can see, these handles are the opposite of what most handles are. Most handles are turned this way. This way, it allows you to distribute your weight more evenly. So when you're pressing down through your arms, it's in the center of the rollator versus if it were flipped the other way, it would be on the back, which multiple times what can happen is, oh, so you can't even do it on this one, but it would lift up like this. So because of the design here, that would not happen. So I'm trying to think if there's any other features I like about this. One thing I like about this seat on the bi-acre is that it's up pretty tall. So if I put the brakes on and sit down, you'll see I don't lose a whole lot of height, not compared to if I was sitting in a wheelchair, for example. So I don't lose that much height, which I like. I think that's beneficial for if you're out and about and you need to take a break and stop, you can just sit on your rollator. So this is the bi-acre rollator. Very, very nice and smooth ride. All right, let me show you my next favorite. We'll go with this one. Okay, so my next favorite is the rolls, and this one has lots of different features. I have a whole video on the full layout of this. I'm just going to quickly review it, and mostly I just want you to know that it exists and that it can help you if you need it. So this is obviously closed right now. So when you close it, it's about this narrow. It's not as narrow as the bi-acre, but still pretty narrow. And this is actually their 2-in-1 model. So this is a wheelchair and rollator combo. So what you would do to use it for either one, let's use it as a rollator first, is you're going to pick up the seat, put that down, and with the way that it currently is, as you can see, it looks like a rollator. So I could use it like this. I'm actually thinking, yes, no. When used, let me back up here. So as you can see, you can swing these arms one or the other. I just got this. I'm pretty new to using it. When you're using it as a rollator, I believe the handles go in, like, yes, this looks more accurate. The handles go in, so I can be standing much closer as I'm using it. So it might look something like this as I'm walking around. So this is what it looks like when used as a rollator, but watch this. Let me back up. It comes with this that attaches to the back. So I'm just gonna lift, lower it in, and then I can pull it up, and now it's a wheelchair. So let me show you from this angle. To get it to not be a wheelchair, you just lower it down like this. You can still walk with it right there, but to get it to be the wheelchair, you just pull it up. And then this is where, if you're using it yourself and you don't have anyone around, you can try to move it around to where you are, put the brakes on, sit down, and rest. And then if you do have someone with you, you can release this, swivel around, and they can push you from the back. So when I say that it transports into a wheelchair, I mean a transport wheelchair. There's no wheels where you could push. A transport wheelchair is one where someone could transport you from one place to the other. So that's what the rolls can do. The other thing I want to show you before I get rid of this guy. So there are also footrests in here. So this is a bag in the back. There's footrests in here. All you do is you place them on and they're good to go. And they do fold up if you need to. So that's a cool feature as well, if it comes with that bag, that you could use footrests if you need to. Okay. Quick example, again, I do have a video on the full thing, but I just wanted to show you what that looked like. To quickly break it down, we'll do that. Take this off. Seat up, place it down, and we're in. So a cool thing about the rolls 2-in-1 is it's 2 mobility aids in one. So it's a wheelchair and a rollator in just such a small area. You don't have to waste the space for both. Okay, last mobility aid that I want to show you for walking is the NeoWalk walking stick. Back up here. I actually have 2 of these. This is one, and this one was created with Christina Applegate for the FUMS collaboration that they had. The reason I like NeoWalk walking sticks is because they're just so fancy. There's so many different styles that you can choose that works with you and your personality. I have a bright pink one. Do I have it out somewhere? I do. My bright pink one is my favorite one. And I chose the green top. They're very customizable. You can choose the top. I chose, if I come up closer, I chose bubbles for this one, whereas this one, I believe they call it a DNA print. So you can choose the color, you can choose this style. These are two different handles, so you can choose what type of handle you want. But more importantly, the reason I like these is because they have really great bases, or also known as cane tips. So they've got really deep grooves, which can be great for stability. So these are really awesome. And they also come with an option where you can make them taller or shorter. So if you're wearing shoes that have some height to them, you can add on an inch or so. But if you're not wearing those shoes, you can take it off. So the NeoWalk walking sticks are really great. They, other than those attachments where you can add on or take it off about an inch or so, that's the only adjustments you can do. They don't have the prongs where you can raise it and lower it, which I actually really like that it doesn't have that, because it just looks like a really unique cane that, again, just is so different from what most people think of when they think of canes in a hospital or nursing home, those types of facilities. So really fun. Love how you can be unique to you. Okay. Let me get back over here. Oh my goodness. I've got too many things. My light behind me almost fell over. Okay. Biacre seems hard to squeeze to slow down. One thing I will say about, let me back up here. One thing I will say about the Biacre and the rolls is that the Biacre is lighter weight. The rolls is still somewhat lightweight, but it definitely is heavier and sturdier. So if you are someone who feels like you need to put a decent amount of weight through your arms, the rolls is probably going to be a safer option for you because it's sturdier. Whereas if you use the Biacre and you're putting a lot of weight through it, you might feel like it's a little too lightweight. So it depends how much body weight you're putting through. As for, let's see, hard to squeeze when going downhill, the rolls handles squeeze similarly. I'm trying to think if anyone has given me feedback on which handles they like better. I don't think they have. So those were these three. So the Dictus band is the next one. So the Dictus band is a rubber ankle brace that comes with a really thick rubber band and prongs that you put into the bottom of your laces. And my Dictus band is over here. Okay, the Dictus band is one of my favorite foot drop braces. So one thing that you can use for a foot drop are things called AFOs, or ankle foot orthosis. And those are typically plastic or carbon fiber devices that slip into your shoe, and then they go straight up along the back of your lower leg, or maybe the outside or the front of your lower leg. And it's designed to reduce foot drop by preventing ankle movement. But ankle bands like this one, and there's another one that I like, ankle bands like this one reduces foot drop by assisting the lift in your ankle. So there's a big difference between the two. The AFO, the braces that are plastic or carbon fiber, work by reducing foot drop by not allowing your ankle to move, whereas these reduce foot drop by assisting your ankle movement. So I always like this one because it allows your ankle to move. So it's called the Dictus band. And this is what it looks like. This is about a leather, I would say, I think it's leather. It's a leather ankle brace, so this goes around your ankle. This is a very thick rubber band, very thick, so you do need hand strength to be able to pull it down from your ankle to your shoe. But this pulls down to your shoe, and then there are two hooks like this that are metal that go in the eyelets of your shoe. So you pull it down, this goes in your shoe, and then it helps lift your ankle up, lift your forefoot up as you're walking. So it can help reduce foot drop. So this is one that I like. There is another one. So this is the one that I just showed you, the Dictus band. This is the one that I want to show you. So it's the Elevate 360. The biggest difference, it works in the same way, but the biggest difference is that right here, this is something that twists. So if you want to tighten it, you just twist it and it tightens these little pulls, these strings. Oops. And if you want it to loosen, you just twist it the other way and it loosens it. So you don't need the same amount of hand strength to pull this big, thick rubber band. You just need to twist, and it's pretty easy to twist in both directions. The other obvious big difference is that there's not this big, thick rubber band. It's just these strings that attach to hooks in the eyelet. So the eyelets, the hooks in the eyelet are pretty similar, a little bit more comfortable than the Dictus band, but this one I think is a little bit easier to use if you don't have help from someone else to put it on. Oops. And then the last one is the foot up. I don't own this one. This is my least favorite, but I do want to talk about it because a lot of people get it. So it's very similar to the Dictus band. I think this is leather. I'm not exactly sure. It might actually just be a more comfortable, softer material. But this is, instead of being a rubber band, it's a strap. There is some stretch to it, but not a whole lot. So I feel like the foot up doesn't allow a whole lot of ankle movement, which partially is the point. The less movement you have, the less likely your toes will stay down and you'll trip over your foot. But at the same time, I like something that allows movement and allows assistance in lifting your ankle up. And this will do that, but more so by preventing the toe from going down. So due to the less flexibility in this strap, that's why it's not my favorite, but it is still an option that's out there. Before we go on to shoes, let me see. Is there a way to slow the speed? If you're referring to the rollators, the way to slow the speed is to use the brakes. Because you're in control of the speed. Where can I get them? I actually have a list that I will, what's the best way? I can email it to you. I don't think I don't have a link for it. It's a PDF. I'll give you guys a link at the end of this where if you give me your email, I'll email it to you. It's a PDF that has everything that we're talking about on this. And so it'll give you the website to go to see more information. Okay, so the next up is Cadence shoes. I do have these. I'm going to show you these, but just to give you a visual from a picture, this is kind of what they look like. And this slide features what makes them unique. The Cadence shoes are another really great tool that I like to use for foot drop. And the reason that these shoes are different, at first glance, they might just look like regular shoes, regular sneakers, but what's really different about them is the pucks on the bottom. So you'll see this is just your typical rubber. This is a nylon puck and it slides on the floor, on the ground. You can even wear them outside. And so the idea is that you put them on and instead of having to drag your foot if you have drop foot or foot drag, foot slap, it'll slide through. I have a whole video on the Cadence shoes, so that's where I review everything about them, but I do just want to show you a quick demo. So let me back up here. Actually, I'm going to use my chair because I want to show you how you can do it seated. Okay. Okay, so the Cadence shoes, as I mentioned, the bottoms is what makes them magical, but I do really like how easy they are to put on. They do have this Velcro, and you pull the tongue out, and look how easy they are to slide in. I don't know what they did to make it easy to slide in, but they're really easy to put on. And then you just Velcro the other side. Okay, so once they're on, what is really cool is if you take some weight off of your leg and just slide your foot around, you will feel, it kind of feels like you're on ice skates. Like it just, there's little friction, you're easily able to move your leg around. Whereas when you put more weight through it and you try to move your leg, you'll see it's sliding a little, but it's really hard to move when you have more traction, more weight through your leg. So these shoes are meant to reduce drop foot. The way that they do that is by allowing you to slide your foot forward. So if instead you had foot drop, where normally you would kind of catch your toe, because of the bottom of these shoes, those pucks, they allow you to slide with your foot still touching the ground. Now, as a physical therapist, I do feel like I have to mention that you should still do your exercises. If you only ever walk with sliding your foot, you're not going to get any stronger. And if you're wearing any other shoes, you're probably training yourself to trip because you're just getting used to keeping your foot low to the ground. So you should still do your knee bending exercises, your marching exercises, all the good exercises. But these are a great tool to allow you to walk safely if you're unable to lift your ankle up and land on your heel. So these are the Cadence shoes, and that's why I like them. That's what they are used for. Sensation. Sensation is another really important symptom that a lot of people don't think to talk about, but it's really important. So if you have a lack of sensation or sensation changes, sensory changes like numbness, tingling, burning, pins and needles, it's important to use products and tools that can assist with sensation. So Naboso is one of my favorite companies that produces sensory-based tools that you can use while exercising. On this slide, you'll see a few. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and show you some that I have here. But they have this ball, which can be really good for hands. If you have lack of sensation in your hands, you can hold the ball, roll the ball, squeeze it. It's really great. You can also use it on the bottom of your foot. You can roll your foot on top of it. They've got these sensory sticks where you can squeeze the sticks and feel the sensation and then release them. They've got this board, which I have here, I'm going to show you. They have splay. These ones don't actually have the sensory material, but they help your toes stay apart, which can help with toe curling. And then my favorite are these neuro insoles. The neuro insoles are inserts that have the classic Naboso pattern on it. So it's not just a comfort insole, but it's got these tiny little rubber pyramids on them. I'll show you what it looks like. And it allows you to have something on your foot that you can feel. And that activates a specific part of your brain that allows you to feel sensation more. And if you can feel your feet more often than not, you'll walk better. We need to be able to feel our feet in order to walk. If you can't feel your foot, you don't know where you're putting it down in space. And so it can make walking even more challenging. So let me show you the Naboso board. So this is the Naboso balance board, I believe is what they call it. And I'm going to try to show you, can you see the sensation on it? It looks like tiny little triangles. And if I show you from this side, oh, you can't really see it. They're slightly raised. And so this, it kind of feels like Braille, if you will. So with the balance board, you'll see that it's got these nice wide blocks. So it's not like a balance beam. It's not something that's going to tip super easily, but it will challenge your balance. So you could have one foot on here this way, or you could put both feet on and use it during your balance exercises. But this Naboso pattern with the Braille-like texture is on all of their products. So I really love their shoe insoles because you can put your foot on this and it's touching this the whole time that you're walking because it's in your shoe. So that's something that's really nice about their products, is that you can use them throughout the day if you need to, or just while you're exercising, whatever works for you. So that is Naboso. And again, the more you can feel your feet, the better your mobility will be. So getting better sensation in your feet is so important for walking better. So I really like this company. So this is the hip flexion assist device. So this is kind of a funny photo of me wearing it. I was trying to demonstrate it. It's a big strap that goes around your waist, and you'll also see it over here in this photo. And then there's these bungee cord-like straps, one on both sides of my thigh. There's one on this side and one on the other side. And then it attaches down at the ankle, and you can see that here too. So the idea is that this device assists with hip flexion, AKA bringing your knee up towards the ceiling. So we'll watch this person. This is one of my patients using it. So it ideally is going to help her bend her knee a bit more and bring her foot up so that she can clear the ground. And I don't have a video of her walking without it, but you'll see her foot comes really close to the ground, but she is able to pick it up so that it doesn't scuff the ground because she's lifting her hip more. So that's what the hip flexion assist device can be used for. What do you think about hip flexion? Oh, I think you asked this before I showed this. What do you think about hip flexion assist? Yeah, okay, so this is what we were talking about. So I really like this device for when used for exercises, but I will say I think it's unrealistic to use this hip flexion assist device out in the real world because it's pretty cumbersome. It is in order to use it effectively, the bungee cords from your hip down to your shoe need to be pretty tight, meaning you're getting a lot of pull from your hips because the bungee cords are attached at your hips. So it can cause you to kind of walk flexed forward like this person is right here. You'll see she's kind of hinging forward. One reason for that is because that was her posture, but also there's this big pull from the bungee cord, so it's pulling her down. So it's a little challenging to put on. I think it's good for exercises, but it's pretty challenging to use if you're going to use it throughout the day. Biker squeeze handles looks hard to reach while walking. Okay, so with questions for the handles are different from the rolls and the biker. For the rolls like this is closed right now, but when it's open, you can put the brakes on by squeezing, but if you want them on permanently, you push that up and then it stays locked. And then when you want to release the brakes, you just lift and lower. So that's how the rolls brakes work. Brakes are on permanently, lift, and they're off. But if you're walking and you need to squeeze the brakes and then release, squeeze and release, this is what that would look like. If I show you with the rollator, the biker rollator, it's the same thing. So if you want to walk with it and squeeze as you're walking, you lift up and down, up and down. So lifting up tightens the brakes, puts the brakes on, releasing, the brakes are off. If you want the brakes on permanently, you push them down. So that feature is different from the rolls. And then to release them from being on permanently, you just lift up. So a little bit different, but same idea. If you were to use them as you're walking to squeeze when your weight is on them, then release as it rolls forward. Squeeze and release. They would work pretty similarly because it's still the same type of squeeze. Okay, so the leg lifter, I do have this and I want to demonstrate it. So the leg lifter can be used for function and as an exercise, and it essentially just helps you lift your leg. This is a leg lifter. It kind of looks like a dog leash. Anytime I use it, people think it's like one of those magic tricks where you look like a dog should be on the other end. So I really like the leg lifter because it can be used as a functional movement or as an exercise. And what I mean by that is if you imagine that I'm sitting on the edge of my bed, and to get in bed, I need to get my legs up over here so that I can lie down. If I don't have the strength to lift my legs up and over, that's going to be really challenging. But I can use something like this, hook it around my foot, use my arms to help me lift it and put it over. Release, and then grab the other one, lift and over. So it can help me with functions like that, activities like that. If I'm sitting outside of my car and I need to lift my leg up to get in, it can help with that. So it can help with day-to-day stuff, but you can also use it for exercises. One of my favorite exercises is to lift and lower my leg. But if that's really, really challenging, you can use this, still use your leg muscles, but you can also use your arms to assist. Your arms are not doing the full movement if they're just helping, but you're trying to lift here and your arms can assist to help you lift even higher. So it can help you with your exercises as well. They have a few different variations of the leg lifter. I like all of them. You can't go wrong. Generally, it does exactly what it's called. It helps lift your leg. So if you're needing help lifting your leg throughout the day or with your exercises, this could be a really great option. All right. I think I might not share my slide because I've got the next few. I've got two more. And I'm not going to bother showing you the photos just because I don't think you need to see the photos since we're going to be doing the video. Okay. Let's go down here. Another one of my favorite tools is the car cane. So the car cane is something that you use to help you get into the car. So this is what it looks like. There's actually a light on it. So if it's dark outside, you can press the light and those will turn on. What you do is you hook this into the latch, and then you're able to use this handle to help you sit down safely. So if you imagine the car is right here, and normally if you kind of plop down because it's a low seat, you would put this in the, I don't really know cars, I'm not exactly sure what it's called, but there's a latch on all car and truck, all automobiles doors. You put it in the latch and then you would hold on to it like this. You put your hand on it and it can help control your way as you sit down. You take it out, close the door. When you need to get out of the car, you put it in the latch and you can push down on it to help you stand up. So it's called the car cane. It's something that can be really helpful if you need help getting in and out of a car. Not necessarily with lifting your legs, that's what the leg lifter can be used for, but with slowing and controlling the movement down and up. All right, we've got one more. Okay, I just noticed these kind of match my new rollator over there. The last product that I want to show you are the Kizik sneakers, and I specifically don't have these in the same category as the Cadence sneakers because the Cadence sneakers, the white ones that I had on, are more so to help with drop foot, to help you slide your leg forward. These don't do that. The bottom of these are normal rubber. They look like normal sneakers, but the unique thing about these sneakers is that they are hands-free. So they were designed in a way to just slide your foot in. And so I wanted to demonstrate what that looks like for you. These are going to be great for people who have difficulty putting shoes off or on due to weakness with getting your leg up here so that you can put the shoe on, or poor balancing. If you try to put your shoe on like this and it just doesn't slide in, if you can't balance well, or if you have fatigue, or if you can't use your hands to navigate a strap or laces, all you need to do for these shoes is have enough strength to lift your leg a few inches, maybe 2 inches. You put your toes towards the front of the shoe, put your heel down, and you're in. You're good to go. So I'll demonstrate on this side. So you do have to have strength to lift, so you want to make sure you're practicing your marching exercise. Then you just push your toes to the front of the shoe, heel goes down, and you're in. Then you just stand up and go. I absolutely love these. These are my shoes that I wear daily now. They're newer, so they still look pretty new, I think. I think I'm doing a good job keeping them clean, but I have about 4 others that I've just worn to the bone, so they look pretty nasty now. But these are really great shoes, whether you have MS or not. If you have difficulty putting shoes on, these can be a really great option to allow you to get shoes on and move about your day-to-day life. Again, there's no pucks or anything on the bottom, so they're not necessarily going to slide when you walk like the Cadence, but really easy to put on. Is there anything else I want to tell you about these? There's lots of different styles. I like the sneaker style best, but they do have other styles too, so definitely check those out. Okay. one last quick thing, this wasn't on my presentation, but I want to show you, is the muscle roller stick. So this muscle roller stick is something that you can use to help release tight muscles. Each of these moves independently from one another. So if you have a lot of muscle tightness on the front of your thigh, that can make bending your knee really challenging. So if you have a muscle roller stick, and to be honest, you could probably use like a rolling pin, but you just want to roll those muscles out and it can release a lot of tension. So I really love using this for the front of my thigh, as well as the back of my thigh, the outsides of my thigh, and as long as you can do so comfortably, my calf, the inside, outside, and back of my calf. So if you're looking to release muscle tightness, the muscle roller stick can be really great. Okay, I think that's all. I mean, I could probably spend a full day going over all of them, but those are the ones. Let me get back up here. There's so many tools and products that I love, and I do have a PDF for all of them, but these are the ones that we reviewed today that I find myself recommending to almost every patient that I'm working with and client with MS that is inside the missing link and on social media. So I wanted to have an opportunity to just quickly show you those. Again, I do have full videos for most of them, but they're going to be really great to help with mobility, sensation, foot drop, weakness, you name it. So I hope you found this helpful. Let me see what questions came in, if any. When you talk about needing to feel your feet, the Cadence shoes appear to have very thick sole. Yeah, so if you need to, how do I want to phrase this? Yes, feeling your feet is very important. If you're unable to feel your feet in any shoe, especially the Cadence, it definitely is a thicker sole. That might be a combination where you use the Naboso insole in the shoe. So you can always combine multiple of these tools that we talked about. If you wanted to use the Dictaspan and the Cadence shoe, you could absolutely do that. Or the Naboso insoles that have this material inside the Kizix, you could absolutely do that. So it doesn't have to be one or the other. It's very helpful when I get into bed. Awesome. For those of us with contractures in our hands, it's hard to reach for the brake. Yeah. And if it's hard to reach for the brake, you should definitely be practicing certain things as functional exercises to help with that. Your demo showed that biker brakes are more reachable than they looked at first. Awesome. I wear Kizix that are great. Kizix, I wear mine every single day. Yes, Skechers has an entire line of shoes that are easily slipped into. Yes, I believe Skechers came out with their slip-in shoes after Kizix. I think I've even seen commercials for them, but I haven't actually tried them on. So I can't really compare, but I did hear that they have that. Sneaker name. So the last one I showed you were Kizix, and then Cadence is the other ones. Yes, this presentation is being recorded. Awesome. I know we went a little over. I apologize for that. And again, a huge shout out to Viatris, who's our supporter, and MSVs and News for doing this along with me. But any other questions before we hop off? I love demoing, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. What is your opinion, massage? Oh, that's a good one. What is your opinion about massage guns? How do I want to phrase this? I like massage guns for certain people. So for some people, massage guns are way too intense. And if you use it, your muscles will actually get tighter because it's just too intense. And your muscles see it as a threat, so it contracts to keep you tight and safe. But for other people, it's not too intense. So for those people, it can actually release muscle tension. So if you don't know, it is worth trying, but try with the broadest base. So like you don't want to try a little pointy thing that's going to get really deep in your muscle, just the broadest base and really, really light at first just to see how it feels. Oh, the PDF. Yes. Okay. Let me Where is this link? Okay, I have a link here. I'm gonna paste it for everyone. If you are on my email list, I will send you this PDF. Let me share the screen so that you can see the link. I know sometimes people have difficulty. Okay, this is the link. So https://www.Dr. Gretchen Hawley, all spelled out. I apologize, that's so long. .com/moving with MS, which is the name of this support group. So if you've basically what that does is it gives me your email address and associates you with this support group. So anytime I send out reminders for this support group, or for example, the PDF, you'll get it essentially. So I know that you are linked to this support group. So type that in your browser and submit your email and your first name, and then usually I'll send out anything that's associated with the presentation within the next 48 hours. So you should be able to get that if you are on that list. All right, I don't see any other questions coming in, so I will let you guys go. Thanks for all of the equipment demos. Yeah, you're welcome. I feel like I should probably do a series of these. That would probably be better so that we could actually get through all of them. So maybe I'll do that for some of the future ones. That's all that we have today. So thank you so much for tuning in. I know we went a little bit over, but hopefully it was worthwhile to be able to actually see all of these in real life, not just on a computer screen. So I hope that it was helpful. And if you have any questions about them, just let me know. But otherwise, I will see you next month. Have a great rest of your night. Thanks, everyone.